Welcome, Iowans for Freedom. This is a special episode of the Freedom Factor. I'm going to keep it short. I recorded it earlier with Representative Dan Gelbach. He called me on his way to the office, but the audio wasn't great, so I'll share some of the things we talked about. And then I did a solo cast that was just audio. Let my wife listen to it, and I think it put her to sleep. She's upstairs snoring right now, so I'm going to be brief. This This episode is a thank you. It's a big thank you to all of you who stood up this session and made your voices heard. It's a big thank you to our legislators who listened, and it's a big thank you to our governor who listened as well. They not only listened, they took action. And in the face of all this ridicule and persecution from the left, they prevailed, we prevailed, and ultimately freedom prevailed. So, this session, as you know, at the beginning of the session, we were invited to the Capitol along with other groups like Protect My Innocence and Moms for Liberty. And we sat down and we talked about the problems that we were seeing. We talked about Castle and SEL. We talked about the books in the libraries. We talked about the constant surveys of our kids and all the things that we were seeing that was really troubling to us, especially this last year. It really ramped up. I mean, this stuff's been seeping into our school system for a long time. So we got school choice passed, we got the bathroom bill passed, we got the prohibition of gender affirming surgeries passed. It always blows me away when they say top surgery. That means you're taking a young girl and removing her breasts. If they would just say that, maybe it would make more of an impact, but that can't be done in Iowa any longer, so thank God. The Parental Bill of Rights. There are many different bills that passed through the House that were really important, and the governor came out with legislation in the Senate, and they finally all got together and put together a pretty darn good bill. It has surveys are opt-in, it's got transparency, K through 6, no more gender identity instruction. Hopefully we'll get that increased next year. The books, any obscene material is no longer okay in our schools, and there's a lot more teeth in that. With the surveys, they're opt-in now. So the benefit of that is before they were opt-out. So any of the SEL emotional stuff, the surveying of your kids about their pronoun, their sexual preferences, their family, their emotions, etc. That stuff was happening often. I mean, in the series of a year, over the course of a year, they might take a full psychological battery in questions here and there and whatever. And then, Panorama collects the data. They can do whatever they want with it. So your kids are getting surveyed for all this private data, and they know what they want by the way they ask the questions. They ask the questions, get the feedback, then they re-ask them in a different way until they get the results they want. So that's not going to happen anymore. The K through 6 gender identity instruction, that shouldn't be in the school at all. They started at K through 3. We pushed for K through 12. We're hoping for K through 8, got K through 6, which is pretty good considering I think Florida's original bill was K through 3. But I'm sure that we can improve on that in next session. The transparency, that's so important. So if someone's child goes to school and says, "Hey, I want to have a different gender identity, or I want to be called these other pronouns," some schools were keeping that from parents. And if you ever testified at one of these hearings, you would hear the other side say that it was for the kids' safety. It's like they're keeping them safe from their parents. And when I testified, I said, I think we need to redefine safe space, because they kept saying safe space. I said, maybe the safe space is with the parents who have loved these kids since they were born, will love them long after and care for them long after they've been through the school system, who will be done with them. So let's reconsider, maybe the family environment is the safe space. So now that stuff can't be kept from parents, and there's teeth in it. Um, there was a bill to reorganize the Board of Education examiners, which is fantastic. Now there's parents on it, not just bureaucrats, because that's been a challenge. I know there's been some parents from Moms for Liberty that have taken these books like Gender Queer and some of these books with terrible obscenity all the way to the Board of Educational Examiners, only to get shot down. And now there's going to be parents on that board. And the whole Iowa Department of Education has been reorganized. And they took a lot of our research. We partnered with Moms for Liberty, a couple members, on doing research and putting together some articles, and they took some of that research and on Castle, CRT, et cetera, and they removed Castle from the Iowa Department of Education website. So that was a big win for us. Also, in the bill, there was language that would have made it so our high school students had to pass the civic test that all immigrants have to pass to be citizens of this country. That was removed, but I think that's going to become more popular. Last Thursday, I spoke at a rally for the Iowa GOP, Iowa Dallas County GOP, and Vivek Ramaswamy spoke, Jake Chapman spoke, Governor Reynolds spoke, and Vivek talked about raising the voting age to 25 unless there were some conditions, unless the voter could pass a civics test that our immigrants have to pass, or were a member of the military, or there was another civic service that they could have done as well. But what that ensures is that our voters, they understand the Constitution, they understand the Bill of Rights, they understand our history, they understand our founding fathers. And I think that's important. So I think we're going to see something happen with that. I mean, that was actually, I think he expected a little more pushback and he got a lot of support for that idea. Let's see. I'm sure I've missed something, but the main thing that I want to get across is that you guys are awesome. When we sent out the calls to action, you sent those emails, you made those phone calls, you talked to your legislators, and we made a difference. I mean, we would actually have senators call us and say, "Hey, we've got this bill. We want to get a subcommittee for it. Can you put out a call to action?" Or, "We have subcommittee tomorrow. Can you put out a call to action and have people email the members of the subcommittee and tell them their stories? Tell them your stories, tell them how you feel about it." And that all makes a huge difference. So your voice matters. And that's what I talked about Thursday. My speech was about renewing our commitment to freedom in Iowa. Because really, the idea of preserving our rights and liberties is baked into the DNA of our state. You may or may not have noticed it, but it's simply in our motto, which is "Our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain." And we have a sacred duty to maintain those rights. I mean, we didn't earn those rights. They were paid for by the blood and tears shed by earlier generations. And so it's this generation's duty to preserve those rights so that our future generations can enjoy the same rights and liberties we have. And I know not everybody can go to the Capitol all the time, can lobby, speak at subcommittee hearing meetings and committee hearing meetings and things like that. But every little contribution matters, whether it's a donation, whether it's your emails or using your voice. There's so many different ways to volunteer. I mean, get involved in your local Republican county GOP. If you're in Dallas County, get involved. Get involved with your precinct committees or whatever else. Become a representative, or go to the meetings and just find out what they're all about. Um, and that being said, we have been self-funded for 3 years, and it does become a strain. We spend a lot of time doing what we do, and then on top of that, we have the monthly expenses of it. So if you could find it in your heart to donate, if you appreciate what we do, every little bit would help. I'll put a link in the description. We always have a donate button on the website and in our blog posts and with our podcasts and everything, because we're not for profit. Everything we do is free. So if you could donate, that'd be great. So anyway, lots to celebrate. Dan and I talked about the next session, and the teacher's licensure, the educational standards, Common Core, et cetera. Some of the things that didn't make it into the bills, some of the bills that didn't get passed. There's other things, the carbon pipeline stuff that we didn't quite get where we wanted to on. There were some tax breaks that were important, some bills that were passed that lower our income tax and help with our real estate tax a little bit. But there's always more work to do, and that's what we'll be gearing up to do next session. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing our CTAs. I mean, sometimes, we've had a couple thousand people read those, and hundreds take action, and that makes a huge difference. So we'll have a meeting this summer, maybe 2 meetings. We'll talk about what's going to happen next session and what our plans are. We'll invite a couple of representatives out to do that. And we'll continue to work with other local groups like Moms for Liberty and Protect My Innocence. And there's too many to name. I mean, you go on Facebook. I don't know about you, but I belong to 15 groups, and I try to go and speak once in a while to other groups across Iowa. So just remember, our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain. So have a blessed weekend. Thank you so much.